Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all well and I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, we're back on the Super City again, and I'm going to be continuing stripping out underneath the bonnet because we're going to paint the engine bay at some point in the near future. And at the end of today's video, there's some footage from the NEC Classic Car Show, which I went to last month. Some very sort of rare and expensive minis on there, so stick around for that as well. So I've still got the subframe on the floor there. I need to take that off to the powder coaters. I just haven't got round to doing it yet. And some great news on the engine that is up with Stewart Gurr at VMAX SCART, and it's being fully worked. That is finished now. I'm actually going to pick it up tomorrow. So all the engineering work's been done, the head's been done, all the bottom end has been lightened and balanced. We've got ceramic coated pistons, we've got a mini Spares EVO camshaft in it with new followers, it's all been timed up, etc. It will still all want putting together, but basically all the engineering work is done on it. Great news is the block was spot on, it just needed a honing, and yeah, it's looking really good. Stewart has laser cleaned it, which I find phenomenal. Or maybe I'll stick a photo up somewhere. Yeah, but who'd have thought? I'd never thought in my lifetime I'd see things like that, laser cleaning engines. But yeah, that's where we are. So yeah, in today's video, we're going to strip all this out. We'll probably take the arches off and the headlights off because the whole front end is going to get painted at some point. But the first thing we need to paint will be inside the engine bay. It's probably the last sort of bits that are going to be stripped before we start putting the car back together again. And of course, it's December now, so we've got the crappy Christmas lights out. So let's get into it. One little job I need to do before I get started. My little skate, I use this skate for moving like the engine and gearbox around. And I usually put the shell on it when there's no front end. So I want to get it on these little dolly wheels because it makes it easier to manoeuvre around. But unfortunately, these ones are starting to die. The casters, if you can see that one, it's all bent. It's just the weight. The engine and gearbox are so heavy. And this one's obviously lost its tyre. So we have some brand new ones. I can't remember what the weight capacity of these was. I'm sure it said like 250 kilos, so that should be more than enough. So yeah, let me get that done quickly. Sorry, slight correction there. These casters are rated to 700 kilos. So yeah, I assume that's a set of 4 are rated to 700. But yeah, that's more than enough. £18 off eBay. So let's get them fitted. And boom, just like that, we're done. So let's get on to stripping this engine bay. There's actually still quite a bit in here to strip out. Clutch master, it's going to be a bit of a pain actually because I'll need to get inside and I've not got much room. So I might leave that once I get it down actually on the dolly. I can pull it forward, get a bit more room. Brake compensator valve, wiring loom's got to come out. Now the wiring loom was in quite good nick, but there have been extra wires added here. One is for the distributor, which AC Dodd added. So I will probably incorporate that in the loom itself, so we haven't got separate red wires running around. I need to get the wiper motor out. Fuel pressure regulator, this will be quite useful. We'll need this for the supercharged build. Fuse box actually looks brand new on this. And what's quite unique, I say quite unique, this is a 1992 car. It was probably built in 1991. So at that time, the 1275 minis would have been moving over to injection then. So it has the cutout for the inner wing fan, which you had on the later minis. They obviously had the mechanical fan, then they had an electric fan as well. This doesn't have the electric fan, I'm assuming, because it probably didn't need it being a 1 litre. But it's just got like this guard on here as well. Almost looks like a barbecue guard, doesn't it? So yeah, let me get all of this stripped out. So yeah, as I mentioned, Stewart has done the engine now. I'm actually very impressed by how quickly he got it done. It literally, I think it's been about 3 weeks. So yeah, very good. So we'll start out just by disconnecting the headlamp loom at the front. Pretty simple. All these wires are colour coded. What else have we got? That's for the indicators. This front part of the loom, these connectors here are really prone to corrosion. If you've got problems with lighting the front lights, it'll be corroded connectors here. These look all right. They haven't been bodged around with too much. No, it all looks pretty original. There's some sort of a Lucas connector or Lucar connector here. I'm not actually sure whether I'm going to take the loom completely out because it's a bit of a pain to thread it back through the bulkhead, but we'll see. Always with any restoration work like this, frustrating bit is I start running out of space to put things. I always like to keep everything neat and tidy, but yeah, you just literally do start running out of space. I always like to keep all the nuts and bolts together in certain areas of the car, so we'll put them in this little paint lid here. Damn, I broke that wire. One of the earths. Where did that break? Oh, I didn't want to do that really. I should have been a bit more careful there. Numpty Keith. Clearly I'll need to repair that bit of loom now. Just going to pull it out and expose it so I don't forget later on. And we can get the brake compensator out of the way as well now. So the brake compensator, this just reduces pressure to the rear brakes, because on most cars typically 80% of the braking is done on the front brakes. The back brakes don't do much, and particularly on a car like a Mini, the back end of the car is much lighter than the front, so you don't need as much braking force. So you have a compensator here to reduce the pressure to the brakes, because if the back brakes lock up on you, there's a tendency for the car, or it can spin, especially if you're sort of decelerating and braking around a corner. If the back brakes lock on you, it will quickly put you into a spin, which isn't fun. Let's also get our clutch master cylinder out of the way. We'll certainly get the pipes out of the way anyway. That's loose now, but clearly I've got to disconnect it from the pedal box before we can go any further. There's our fuel regulator set up. Obviously has an inbuilt filter in there as well, and you adjust the fuel pressure by adjusting the nut on the top here. What is that held on with? That is a add-on bracket. So, what? The wiper motor out the way, don't we? So that's just a U-clamp round here. Bolts are usually pretty rusty, and there's like a, we undo the nut from there, and you just pull like the wiper mechanism cable comes off the spindles. You'll see as I do it. First thing we need to do is get the wiper arms out of the way, which reminds me I need to order a new wiper arm for PL because it disappeared on the last road test. That's resolving. That one ain't going to come out for love nor money, so we'll have to drill the head off that. There we go. So yeah, provided you've got the wiper arms off, you just take the clamp off from around the motor, undo this nut at the top there, and then it's basically a cable which runs through a tube sleeve. You can literally just pull it out. We've got the motor out far enough that I can get the wiring plug out now. Now sometimes these plugs are usually corroded, and you typically have to replace the plug. This one's going to be the same, I think. Yeah, always ready. Yeah, we've got it out, but sometimes I've had to cut the loom. They do actually do a repair section with a new plug, so this is quite corroded in there, so that's a job we'll have to do. But there is a repair kit you can buy for it, like I say. And now, out comes the cable, and if I look in the plug this end, actually it doesn't look too bad. But you can buy this plug here. This is the wiper park switch, if you need to know, and it'll come with new terminals on there. What we can actually do now, we might as well just remove the wheel boxes for the wipers as well. Get them out of the way. Right, I'm going to make a reference myself. I always, when it comes to going back together, I always seem to get this wrong, getting these wheel boxes back in, because the tube underneath is bent in a certain direction. There we go. So it's actually bent upwards like that. But what you can do, this is probably all relatively loose, yeah, you can move it all around anyway. It's always worth servicing these while it's out. So make sure they're free. This one's quite tight on that one. So we'll lube up the cable, lube up these wheel boxes. Let's have the blanking plugs out as well. And we'll try and get the washer jets out. These can be a bit of a pain though sometimes. Let's get a trim tool to help us out. Plastic trim tool so we don't damage the paintwork. However, I think I'm going to be respraying all the front end, so it's probably going to get done anyway. Oh, they come out all right actually. What next? What next? What next? We've got another loom here. This. Let's get the indicator out first. Sorry, side repeater, not indicator. And over this side we've also got the dim dip resistor. So around the mid-90s, cars had fitted to them like a dim dip resistor, so when the ignition was off, you didn't get the full sort of headlights, you got a dim dip. And this resistor controls that. You can just disconnect this and the headlights will work, carry on working perfectly normal. You'll have low beam and main beam, but you won't have dim dip. Don't actually think it's an MOT requirement or anything like that. Paint this side because we've got the trunk in up the inner wing there, which goes to the fresh air vents inside. So like I say, that dim dip resistor, if you just unplugged it, headlamps would still work as normal, apart from you wouldn't have dim dip. That's it there, that's what it looks like. Just a resistor. Can't remember how many ohms. Now we can thread through that bit of the loom, and then the final bit of the loom basically goes to the back of the car. So let me just make sure the colour convention is the same here. You do have to be careful sometimes, wires change colour and sort of mid-loom, and that can mess you right up. But these all look the same. There's actually one here that's different. No, it's green and red, that's fine. Again, these connectors here are prone to corrosion, but not that bad because they're up high on the bulkhead. But yeah, if you've got a bad earth at the back of the car, it could well be from these connectors here. Or a bad, sorry, yeah, like bad lighting at the back. Actually, the earths for the back are actually on the back of the car. They earth out on the rear end. Right, that's our wiring loom. Pretty much completely out now. What's this wire for here? Oh, that is for my a air fuel gauge. So what do I want to do about that? I want to disconnect it. I've conveniently put it in a nice connector. Should I just cut it? The other one is for phone charger inside. Right, I should be able to get all this horrible foam insulation off now to reveal, hopefully, a nice clean bulkhead behind. Tell you what, there ain't many minis out there that you would get the foam insulation off in one piece still. Look at that. I'm going to be replacing that, and I'm going to be putting foam insulation back in there because it helps with the sound deadening. But they're not ideal, these, because they hold moisture and they hold water, particularly down the bottom here, which can corrode the bulkhead. So I think that's probably as far as I can go without pulling the car forward and then getting inside, because I need to thread these pipes inside. Like I say, this whole loom, I can probably just mask this up and spray around it rather than completely removing it from the car. And I'm going to need to disconnect the clutch pedal and brake pedal. So let's just take the other rest of the front end off. So we'll have the arches off, the headlights, indicators, side repeaters, etc. Wow, not one of the nuts broke. These headlights been out before, judging by the look of the rivets. They actually look like they're going to be a bit of a pain to get off those rivets because the centre is still attached. They're going to be a bit of a pain. It's just the way that the rivet has broken off on all of them. I wonder if I could just slit a groove in it. Safety squeaks, Mr. Miller. every now and again you get some random things, especially on later minis like this. So these nuts in here are a metric 10mm. Right, I think that's as far as we're going to get this evening. So I've got it on the skate now. So what that allows me to do is just move it around really easily. Literally just left, right, backwards and forwards. I'm literally just doing it with one hand. So it makes it very, very easy when I'm faffing around doing things. So I need to, this evening, I'm not going to wake the neighbours up and start the TVR up. I'll come back to it tomorrow. But I need to pull it out and I need to get in through that door so I can obviously disconnect the pedal box, route these hoses back through the dash, maybe take out the throttle cable, choke cable. But aside from that, that's probably pretty much ready for cleaning up underneath there then. Front end, the reason we're doing it, I've shown on a previous video, but beneath the headlights, this is filler in here. There should be a line going down there, a seam line. In fact, you can see there it just disappears. So that means there's filler there. Maybe in a next episode, I'll get the strip and clean disc on there and we'll clean it back and look how bad it is. Not looking too bad. The good bit is I can feel inside. Doesn't appear to be much in the way of corrosion inside, although it feels like what might be a plate inside there. I'll have a look in a moment. And then other side, again, there is no seam coming down there. In fact, the seam's completely missing on the corner. That's where it's full of filler, so not good. Right, so yeah, this is up on the inside of that wing there, and you can see there's a metal plate here, which I bet someone has just, that was probably a hole then, and they've just put, I bet that's just stuck on there, bit stuck on metal plate, guaranteed. I might, while I'm here live on camera, might just see it, get a screwdriver and see if it comes off. It's not good news this, because that means it's probably a corroded hull, which yeah, not too happy about. No, that's pretty solid, that is. Is that meant to be there? I don't ever recall seeing that on a wing before. I don't know. Let me know. You ever seen a plate like that inside? Let me have a look at the other side of the car. No, that plate definitely shouldn't be there. So I can see the back of that. That's corrosion. Looks like probably a bit of filler come through there. And we got corrosion up in the top corner here as well. In fact, yeah, that's very thin there. Yeah. We'll have to strip it back in a future episode. I don't want to be replacing the wings and the front panel because they're in pretty good nick, but I might have to make up a metal piece to go in the corner there, depending how bad it is. Right, so there we go. I think that's it for today's video. I'm a little bit disappointed about that front end, especially seeing like the plate on the inside of there. I'm sure someone has just tacked that on there. Maybe because there's no metal there, and it looks like this corner here could be mostly filler, but you don't know until I start cleaning all of this off. I think I'll be able to repair it. I think if I do, you know, I might have to make up a piece of metal. I might have to shape it a bit and then neatly sort of weld it in. But I'm certainly not gonna, we'll be taking out any rust that is there and replacing it with metal. We won't be replacing it with filler. So yeah, and across the bulkhead here, there's obviously quite a bit of corrosion down this end, probably just about caught it in time actually. And next video I'll get it pulled out. We'll get everything disconnected from this end as well. I might end up taking all the dash out inside just so I can pull the wiring loom through, just to make it easier for myself.
Moving on to some minis now. The British Mini Club stand featured the wooden picket Mini by Callum, a reimagined classic based on a fully restored Mark V sports pack body. It wears bespoke bodywork, wide arches and custom lights, all painted in this stunning metallic finish. Under the bonnet we find a rebuilt 1310cc Stage 3 A+ engine pushing out around 110 brake horsepower with twin point fuel injection and a bespoke twin exit exhaust. Inside the cabin you'll find tan leather, a new Margave inspired wooden picket metal dash, bespoke seats and a bespoke coach built feel which define the original wooden picket conversions of the 1960s. Each car is hand built at Callum's UK facility, tailored to its owner, with prices starting at around £75,000. A modern luxury take on the Mini icon. Also on display at the show was the new classic Mini Cooper Grand Prix, a hand-built tribute to one of the rarest John Cooper specials ever made. Back in the 90s, only 35 Grand Prix left John Cooper garages, each celebrating Cooper's Formula One championship wins of 1959 and 1960. Now just 35 are being rebuilt again by the Cooper Car Company, each with a 100 brake horsepower A-series engine, uprated suspension and brakes, and that unmistakable Cooper craftsmanship. A fitting salute to the team that changed Formula One and to the Mini that carries its Grand Prix name into a new era. And I couldn't miss this remarkable Mini. It's the legendary Twinny, a twin-engine prototype originally conceived in the 1960s. Each end houses its own A-series engine, working together to drive all four wheels. It was an ingenious idea to double the Mini's power for rallying, but ultimately the complexity made it too difficult for the works cars. And finally, it's not a Mini, but I couldn't miss this MG Metro 6R4 from the halcyon days of the World Rallying Championship Group B era. This mid-engined four-wheel drive beast has a 3-litre V6 and had real championship ambitions. Its homologation run was limited, its performance brutal, and today stands as an icon of unrestricted motorsports engineering, raw, rare, and eagerly hunted by enthusiasts. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. It's free.